This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This your boy Black Magus and Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 5. Remember when they said they were going to do some changing? Well, they definitely are doing changing. I thought this episode you saw some tweaks a lot more than you did before. Not huge major tweaks, but more of the continuation of a major tweak along with some other subtle twists. At least stuff that I just don't recall actually happening in the book, which I want you guys to, if you're listening to this, please let me know if I'm right in thinking that there were some things that would definitely change that I wasn't prepared for. Such as what happened with Tyrion and Mormont. I thought that right there was a pretty interesting twist on that whole scenario right there. Anyway, so as we start the episode, of course, we're dealing with the fallout of the ambush on Grey Worm, that he survived, but we find that Barrister, he didn't survive. He did his best to save Grey Worm and his folks, but he ended up losing his life, and Grey Worm, of course, survived. So Dany, of course, not feeling that at all, and I don't blame her at all, because he was very loyal. He was very, kind to her, and he became sort of a father figure for her. So no surprise that she was hurt by that. So she decides, you know what, I'm gonna try to seek out who the hell is doing all this. So she turns on all of the masters, have them all rounded up, all the heads of the families who used to be the masters of slaves, and rounded up and takes them to the dungeon where her dragons are. And one of them, of course, he paid the ultimate price. He ended up getting burnt to death and eaten by the two dragons that she have locked up. And she basically locked the rest up and was like, yo, we might come back and do this again. But just basically, she was trying to ferret out who's loyal, who's not. So, in the middle of her conflict, of course, that gets resolved when she decides to talk to, how do I pronounce her name? The former slave girl who's now her interpreter. She's speaking to her, and she's like, what do I do? What do you think I should do? And she's like, look, I've seen you give advice. I've seen you get advice from all these other people, but when you need it to, you could always come up with a solution yourself. So why don't you do that? Was basically what she did. The result being that Dany decides to marry that guy who was more of the, I guess you could say, he was the liaison between the masters. He was the one who took over his family and was trying to forge some type of peace. She decided to marry him. Now, this is going to be interesting because from what I remember, I don't remember if the guy she married or was planning to marry in the book was a head of a family, but I remember him being a lot more shady and a lot more unlikable than this dude. Like, this dude, he doesn't seem to be a bad sort, where the other guy in the book, you kind of seem like, yeah, this guy, he's plotting up to something. So we're going to see how that works with that part right there. Jon decides to get advice from Master Aemon, who tells him, look, you know what you want to do it. You got to be the Lord Commander right now. You can't You gotta stop being the boy. You're a man now. You're the man. Do what you need to do. Do what must needs to be done. So John decides, I'm gonna bring in all the wildlings and have them stay in the north. In return, when the time comes, when the walkers come, they'll be here to fight. And he was making a compelling argument. Of course, people being who they are, they're stuck in their ways, stubborn. The Night's Watch, having fought for years against the wildlings, they're not feeling it. You know, they're like, fuck them. We don't want to be bothered with these people. We've killed them. You know, they've killed us. We've killed them for years. Why would he do that? Same turn when John introduced the terms to, and I can't remember his name. I'm being shitty with names today. But with the guy who was in charge of one of the tribes, one of Mance Raider's highest lieutenants, he's like, nah, that's not, nobody's gonna come here. Do you really think we want to do this? We've been fighting for years. And it's like everybody on both sides is just spitting the same argument. But John's in the middle spitting sense. Look, winter's coming. The walkers, we've all seen what they do to people. If they kill your people, they're just gonna join the army of the dead and kill more people. Same thing he said to the Night's Watch. It's like, look, you can want to kill them and not like them all they want, but what happens when the walkers kill them? When they become white, then what you gonna do? And you know, most of y'all have been with me to the fist, and we saw what happens when they come. That shit ain't cool. Do you want to have thousands of them added to their legions? No. So this is the best solution. Of course, John is gonna go with the guy to go convince them. Thankfully, Stannis decided to lend him some ships so he can carry the people back. But it's the smart solution. It's the smartest plan in the world, because it's like, look, these people, they're the way they are because that's just the way things are. If you give them an opportunity, perhaps they wouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? It's just like anything. We don't have to be enemies. We don't even have to be friends. But we could be civil. And that's what John wants. He just wants them to be civil. That's all he's looking for. Hopefully John gets what he wants, because it would be such a shame if they let shit break down like that. Stannis, of course, is now heading to take care of the Boltons, who we get to see Ramsay be Ramsay again. You know, the fake facade that he showed Sansa when they met, it just all came undone, especially after he found out that Sansa saw Theon. Which I'm curious to see what happens to Ramsay's girl, because before she was jealous and she was talking about like she doesn't like the fact that he's getting married and maybe I'll get married, and I guess he must have thought he calmed her down, and then they fucked. Yo, the amount of pasty ass, good lord. Oh man, I guess being Northmen, it makes sense that they don't have any color in their pigmentation, because they were just so pale. But you're in a place that's perpetually cold all the time, you'd be pale too. You know, I don't even, hell, I'd have a sheen of pale, and I'm black. So anyway, his girl decides to like show Sansa, hey, there's Theon, look at this. And then Ramsay perpetuates it by bringing Theon in after he finds out that Theon saw her, and having him apologize to her for what he did and things like that. And like his father said, you kind of disgraced yourself today. Of course, his father kind of brought him back down to earth when he let him know that, hey, I just got Walder Frey. Is it Walder? Yeah, Walder, because I guess she was named after her father. I just thought about that. Anyway, or is it Wilder? I don't know what it is. All I know is the Frey girl is pregnant, and they think it's a boy, and that set Ramsay off because he was not happy with that. He was like, okay, I'm going to be replaced, but Ruse is like, nope. So he tells him the story of how, like, he's the product of him raping his mom under the dead body of her husband. Yeah. Them Boltons, I tell you, them Boltons got some issues amongst them. And that he needs Ramsay to help him defeat Stannis, because he knows Stannis coming. So we're about to get a nice little battle popping off pretty soon. Stannis coming down there, the Boltons trying to ready their crazy asses for him. Gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting how all this breaks down. And the thing that we saw Brienne. Let's not forget that. And Brienne gave the message to someone who came to Sansa and let her know. Anytime you feel like you're in trouble, just light a candle on the top of the broken tower, and I'll come get you. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out too, because again, that's a shift from what happened. Brienne should be somewhere else in a lot of bullshit right now, being fucked up on her own and not protecting Sansa. But good little twist to that. I like the changes that they make. I have to say, the changes that they've made to the story, I think they work. They flow within the context of the story. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Last bit, of course, we get to see Tyrion, and Tyrion's being carried, of course, to Daenerys with Mormont, and Mormont's being his stoic, usual self. They're speaking and they're going through Valyria, and then we get the attack. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tyrion was with another set of people when this attack went down with the grayscale. Or was it not? But the more I think of it, I don't even know if it was Tyrion. I believe it was another character altogether who we've not been introduced to, and we probably may never be introduced to, if that's how they're flowing things, who got attacked by the Stonemen, or what do they call them? The grayscale. People who suffer from grayscale. That attack went down. Tyrion and Mormont survived. They lost their stuff, the boat and all that. But we find out at the end, Mormont got touched by one of the guys. And if you've heard the story about grayscale, if someone touches you with it, then you contract it and you will be turned into basically a stone person too. Mormont has that. Didn't know Mormont had that. Don't recall Mormont getting that in the book, but now that makes it for an interesting tale to see where this is going with him and Tyrion. Is this their way of exiting Mormont from the story sometime soon? Curious to see how this is going to work out, but as always, full of craziness, suspense, wildness. We still got so many other threads to sew up, like what's going on in King's Landing with the Sparrows and all of that. The battle between Marjorie and Cersei. What's going on in Dorne? Didn't get anything about Dorne, finding out what's the deal with that whole scenario. So still got lots of stuff to sew up as well. But good episode. Anyway, you guys hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.